And we are live. What is going on, everybody? Crypto Poppy here, and as always, with my co-host Benjamin Brand. Benjamin, how you doing today, buddy?
Oh, not bad, not bad. We got a special show for those guests, huh?
That's right.
Doing it
That's
on a
right.
Tuesday night.
So Tuesday night, we don't normally do this on Tuesday night. My show with Ben is at 12 p.m. Eastern time, but this is a very special guest that we wanted to chat with, and I believe he's in Australia. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right,
Yeah,
so you want to give
verify with
us
him.
I know you've been talking to him quite a bit, so you want to give us an introduction on our guest and what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so our guest is Conwell from Conwell's Club. He is behind the Penthouse project that's coming up. They're gonna do a mint of like 3,333. I guess in relative things, they just had a Playboy launch that did really well. So this is something that will probably rival that, or is expected to do just as well, if not better than that. So definitely looking forward to talking to him.
That's interesting. I didn't keep up with the Playboy one. I didn't. I don't know. The bunnies didn't grab my attention. The 3D bunnies.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird play, right? I mean, not something I would expect. Obviously, you associate the bunnies with Playboy, but not at all what I would expect coming from them. But they
Yeah.
did well nonetheless.
Well, guys, I've always heard, I don't know if you got, you hear this, right? Like growing up, that the adult content industry really seems to ignite technology innovation and media innovation. And so it's not a surprise to me that obviously the adult content business is coming into the NFT space. I kind of actually think that maybe it's taking them longer than I thought it would have. But obviously, Penthouse is a massive name, and we're excited to bring up our guest and have a conversation with him and see what this up and coming NFT drop is all about. So, without further ado, Conwell, my man, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, good.
We're
It's
good. We're
good to be
chilling.
here.
It's Tuesday night.
How's your?
You're in Australia, so it's middle of the day over there, or
Yeah, it's like 1 o'clock right now on Tuesday. Or, no, Wednesday. It's Wednesday right now.
Okay. So about
Yeah,
12
I'm
hours
just
ahead of us. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm sitting in the car park right now, waiting for my girlfriend to get out of surgery. She just had her boobs done.
Nice.
So, yeah. So now I'm sitting in the car park, just kind of. I think she's in the second part of it now, like where they just monitor you as you finish, and then yeah. So hopefully she'll come out of there, and then I can create some new NFTs of them as well. For people that don't know, that my girlfriend's featured in a lot of my work, like because I'm a photographer as well. So like I have some collectors which have like 5 naked photos of my girlfriend as NFTs and things like that.
really?
But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, well, that not fully naked. So like if you are familiar with my work, I creatively censor things. Like I've got one, for instance, I got an NFT which is like a photo of her, and she's topless and stuff. But you've got like a. Do you remember Mario Kart? How you used to have those? You used to drive on like the rainbows.
Yeah, of
So
course.
Yep.
I've got a rainbow coming around her body and wrapping around, just covering her nipples, and then Mario Kart sort of like racing on it as like a creative way to censor it.
Man, so tell us about you, and obviously we're going to talk about what you're doing with
Mm,
Penthouse, but tell us about you and how you got started into NFTs and sort of
Right.
creating
Yeah,
content.
like were you
yeah,
originally like a picture type artist, or did you
yeah.
develop into a digital artist?
So I started off as a photographer, and I used to just photograph like women mostly for like brands and fashion and some nude stuff and things like that. And then I had I built my Instagram account up to thousands and thousands, and then been deleted. Thousands and thousands have been deleted. So the last time it got deleted, it was like 15,000. Now I'm up to just past 4,000, and I've got like 6 warnings because my work is, I guess, more provocative sort of thing. So then I've over the years just found ways to just creatively censor it, and then funnily enough, that kind of ties really well into NFTs. Like people love that stuff. So but originally I was a photographer, and then I've had a relationship with Penthouse for a while. They were like one of the first big brands to give me a real shot as a photographer for shooting and putting my work in their magazines and stuff. And then after COVID hit, we obviously couldn't shoot anymore. So then I was like, well, I was just bored. I was still working my normal day job, because I still work a normal day job. Actually, I'm an electrician. I'm a fire technician, but it's essentially electrician, which just deals with fire. And then I was just bored, because I'm like 100-mile-an-hour kind of guy. I need to be busy as shit, otherwise I'm bored. So then I just started manipulating all my photos, and then they were doing really well on Instagram. Like I was getting sometimes a couple hundred, sometimes a couple thousand likes per photo. And then just artists like Slime Sunday and these other photo manipulation collage guys, they were doing really well in the space. So I just thought, like why not just give it a shot? So I just started selling the stuff I was posting on Instagram as NFTs, and it just caught on, and people were buying them. But I couldn't even list it without it getting snapped up within seconds, like a couple of months ago. Well, just before Ethereum started to take off, because obviously the NFT market's kind of inversely correlated with crypto. It's just like, as everything was just chilling out and the crypto wasn't doing much, obviously NFTs were really hot, and my work was just snapping up within seconds. As soon as I'd minted, it was gone. And then, so I was like, all right, obviously my first collection was more of like a randomized, different types of art that I would muck around with, just to try and get a taste of what people actually liked. And then that I was like, I thought I better start taking this seriously. So then I started building my own community, building the Discord, building my Twitter, just really starting to get deep involved into the space. And then I already had a couple of cover deals for Penthouse in the works. So a bunch of my images they wanted to use for covers already. And then I approached them and I had said to them, look, have you guys considered NFTs at all? And they said, well, yeah, we have. They were going to just start doing their covers as NFTs and just selling them, and I guess just making a little bit of money on the side, but not really building a business out of it, like building a community out of it. And then they wanted me to sell some of my covers as NFTs. And then I just approached them and I said, look, why don't we just forget about the money, forget about everything. Let's build this into something way more than just selling covers for NFTs. And then I pitched the idea of basically building a launch pad for artists like myself and make this a real full circle thing. Like Penthouse gave me my first shot. Now I can use Penthouse to give somebody else their first shot, and just build something using Penthouse's connections in the real art world. Because I don't know if you guys really know this, but I think it's not very common knowledge. Penthouse is actually an art magazine. It does have nudes in it, but it was originally created back like 30 years ago from the owner. He built an art magazine, and then it just wasn't selling. Like, it just wasn't popular, I guess, because he was a massive art collector himself. And then he just started putting nude women in there because it was popular at the time. And then they became obviously one of the biggest magazines in the world, along with Playboy. But now Australia Penthouse, especially, and we're going to move that into, so it's more prevalent in the American as well. But Australia Penthouse, especially, if you go through the magazines, you have a look, it's some of the most famous artists from Australia and all over the world. So our first cover, he's a cartoonist. So he's a cartoonist from Russia, very popular on Instagram. All the artists that we feature in the magazines, like, and have been for years, they're artists, and they're very famous photographers. So they're very famous, like, fine art photographers, or they're actually digital artists. So then I approached them, and then they took the idea straight away. They said, this is perfectly in line with the brand. And then what we can do is use the Penthouse cover, NFT cover, as your ticket in. And then that's going to be your ticket in for Penthouse to bring a bunch of mainstream artists over to the blockchain. So like sculptors and painters and all these other really famous connections that we already have. And we can also use it as a platform to build up artists who were just like me a couple of years ago, photographers, digital artists, musicians, whatever. It doesn't really matter. That if they have the talent, then we can give them the platform. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we're basing it around, where I want it to be a different to kind of how the Playboy, like, I don't know exactly what Playboy was doing. It just seems like it's another 10K to me, like it's another animal 10K PFP, like it's kind of jumping on the trend, I suppose. And I want it to be the opposite of that, the complete opposite. I want it to be nothing to do with making money really at all. I want it to be about building something way bigger than that. And that's how I've kind of just ended up in this. It's just kind of everything's just kind of fallen into place.
Cool. So before I ask you to dive deeper into the Penthouse NFT drop coming up, where do we find your collection?
So
what platforms are you selling on?
So actually, like the owners of Known Origin, one of the owners reached out to me for me to work on there. One of the curators of Make a Place wanted me to reach out to me. Like I didn't apply for any of these things. They've just found my work, I guess, around the Discord traps, and they've found me and they've approached to put me on there. So right now, you can get my work on OpenSea. I have 3 collections on OpenSea right now. I have my original one, and then I have a second one, which I bring out, which is the same sort of fun collage type of works. And then I'm on this new series right now, which I'm doing I'm called the Faces of Art. And I have that across Maker's Place, Known Origin, and OpenSea. I was on Foundation for a little bit, but like just the fees and stuff like that, I just didn't see the need for it. Like, because these platforms, I'm still yet to even see if like the other gated platforms like Maker's Place and Known Origin stuff, like if it's actually worth you paying all these fees to be able to just use their work, use their platform. But since I was offered the positions, I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to be rude to somebody that's offering me something that people would kill to have. So I've definitely tried out these new ones, and I'm going to see how they go so far. But most of my work is on OpenSea right now because I just feel like they just have even though they have all the problems they do, they just have the market share, and it's just easy for people. It's just easy for people to jump on their phone, and you know what I mean. So that's where my work is right now. But yeah, so I've got one collection already sold out.
I'm gonna actually show it here. This one.
Yeah.
Faces of Art is pretty neat.
So that's my OpenSea ones, yeah. So essentially the concept with this is I'm a massive art fan. So like I've been an artist fan for years and years and years and years. Like from real art, graffiti, all that stuff. Because I kind of started in graffiti myself. So street art is kind of always where my heart lies. But fine art, photography, I'm a fan of it all. So this is essentially a tribute to my favorite artist ever. So this is like, do you guys know the popular artist Killer Acid? You guys,
rings a bell?
Yeah, so he's a very popular NFT artist as well, but he's been an artist in the real world for years. He does lots of merch and lots of really cool illustrations. So that's Picasso. So I don't know if you know, I'm very familiar with Picasso's work, but that's actually one of his on the front. And then, so it's essentially a tribute to the artists that I love myself. And then I manipulate them around women's faces because photography is my thing as well. That's where my background is. And then I'll just twist them up a bit in my own way and try and make them nice and creative. And then I'm going to just try and sell them for around, there's that 0.25 mark. And then I'm going to implement down the road, or even in like a couple of weeks or whatever, once a couple of people pick them up, I'm going to say, if you hold that as your PFP, then you'll get random airdrops. I'll give you random NFTs if you keep that as your PFP at random times. So I'll just state like, look guys, within this next week, if you want to if you own a Faces of Art and you wish to put it as your PFP, you'll have an airdrop. Do you know what I mean? Like just to try and give back to people.
Very cool. Very dope. Very different.
Yeah, well, that's how that's how I feel like art should be. Is that you should try and you take from the artist that you love, and you take ideas. Like I don't know if you guys have read the book Steal Like an Artist, but that's kind of how I live my artistic career. Like, is that you take little bits of every artist you like, and then you make it your own.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's your sort of your collection, and you've got a few other collections. You said you have a Discord and a community going as well, right? So, like, how big is your community right now?
For my own personal one, I've only got probably like about 100 odd collectors that own my work, and then a lot of them own like 5, 10, 15 pieces. So I've got about 100 in my own Discord, and in the Penthouse Discord, we were pushing up to about 500, and then we actually had to pause the Twitter account just because all the paperwork wasn't signed yet on all ends. So then I got told from the top that we just need to pause it just for now, just because everything needs to be signed. Like the T's need to be like, that's just how business is, I guess, is that everything needs to be signed correctly. So that's hopefully pushing it, but we were pushing up to about 500 after just like about a week, and then we've been offline for about a week, so that's kind of stalled things for a little bit. But I'm hoping as soon as all these the documents get signed again, just the licensing stuff for like the Twitter handles and all this stuff, it all needs to be on paper legit. And once that's hopefully fixed up this week, I'm gonna really start pushing the first cover, which is gonna be Ask Andy. So Ask Andy is that Russian illustrator from he actually lives in LA, but he's from Russia. He does like these really cool, I guess, rude cartoons, and he's got really interesting articles which we've had written about him, which like the community loves it. Like as soon as I post one of our guest artists, because the Penthouse brand will bring in a bunch of guest artists for the holders. So if you hold the NFT, just randomly, we're going to bring in like a famous photographer or a famous cartoonist or a famous artist of some kind, and just be like, this is an exclusive drop for holders only, and then they have access to buy it. So even when I was just dropping some of the articles that Penthouse has for our guest artists, everybody was loving it. So it's like one artist, her name's Mother Pop. She's going to be one of our guest artists down the line. And as soon as I posted one of the articles we had about her on the thing, like 20 of her NFTs sold, because people love that connection. That's what I want to build. I want to build that personal connection between artist and collector. So like you can feel like this person's your friend, you know what I mean? And you can actually really connect truly to their artwork. Sorry if I go on a bit of a rant. And once I start, I just don't stop talking.
I think you're muted, Crypto Poppy.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say we pulled up your known origin collection as well. These are all one of ones, right?
Yeah, so it's all one of ones. I got someone Maker's Place actually just posted me on their Instagram. I just had a notification about 5 minutes ago. So I've got my Maker's Place collection as well. I'm very grateful as well for these guys reaching out and giving me a spot on their place when so many people apply for this stuff and never get in. And I was just lucky enough just to connect with the right people, being involved in the right communities at the right time. And then I guess they just saw something in my art and they just wanted it on their marketplace. It's like, you just can't be anything but grateful, really. But it's about the connections that you're building as well. That's what I'm trying to make sure that Penthouse understands as well, is that you can't approach this thing like a brand. And I feel like a lot of the brands that do that are going to fail in the long run. If your approach is just community driven and about building connections and real relationships with people, then I really feel like the brand's going to be a monster, especially once we start like putting our money where our mouth is and bringing some of these artists that nobody knew about to the stage, and these guys start selling out their collections because we show the world what they're worth. It's going to be phenomenal. Truly. That is going to mean way more to me than any success that I'm going to have in this space as an artist.
So are you guys building out a roadmap and all that stuff for the Penthouse, like as far as, like with companion airdrops or in real life events, things like that too?
Yeah, so everything was just like literally about to just launch properly. So we have got everything drafted up. I've even got the drafts on my phone. But then I got told we need to pause all Twitter stuff until we have everything signed, because it's like a breach. You can't promote something unless the licensing is 100% signed. But essentially, roughly within, hopefully, assuming the Twitter gets back up and running this week, next week or the week after, we'll have the first cover drop, which is with Ask Andy. And then straight after that, we'll have some guest artists already launch some NFTs for us. We have 3 already lined up for us, which are going to be all women. We're doing like an all women drop at first of like an unknown painter from Sydney who I think is phenomenal. I actually taught her how to make NFTs because I thought her work was so good, and I wanted her to launch her career. And then I bring her on to Penthouse as well. Like, she's never even sold an NFT, and now she's going to be exclusively launching for like a massive brand like Penthouse. And then we've got another woman who already sells NFTs, and then we've got a really famous one, like a super, super famous one. So it's kind of like a good mix of between a beginner and like somebody which is real world famous, which is going to be the first drop. And then about December is going to be my cover, which is going to be that generated art drop with the 333. And it's going to be my cover. And then I'm going to randomly generate it all. And then you're going to get like everybody has a different type. So, because I don't want somebody to just have, like, it needs to be like a nice individual thing that people can like connect with. And then there'll be some rares in that. And then down the road, assuming it'll be relative to how successful the brand is. If this is extremely successful and we're launching artists left, right, and center, and like if it's very popular, the sky's going to be the limit. So there'll be events, there'll be like next year NFT NYC things. There's like it will literally be limitless. It just really depends on how successful we can push it.
Nice.
So okay, so I've got your cover that you sent me offline. So the drop itself, when you said the 333 drops, are there 333 tokens that you're releasing? Is that what that is?
No, 3,333. Sorry.
Okay, 3,333 tokens. Is it generative art?
Pardon, sorry?
Is it generative art? Like, does the art get generated?
That's right, yes.
Random? Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna be launching it on a new test. It's gonna be a new platform that Rarible is actually launching. So this drop will be with Rarible. And so the first drop and this drop is going to be with Rarible. We've had a deal with them for the first two because it just in line with Penthouse, I suppose. And Andy actually chose Andy actually chose Rarible because realistically, if you have a cover or whatever, we want the artist to be able to choose where they want to go. So Andy chose Rarible, so that's how we got in the door with them. And then I've had a couple of meetings with one of the head of, like a couple of Zoom meetings with the head of Rarible now a few times. I'll probably have another meeting next Monday to give him an update on us. But essentially, they're going to launch a new generated art software, which will be straight through Rarible, and you'll be able to just put all your assets in and all that stuff. I've been testing that in the beta form so far, and it's really, really good. So I've tested it a couple of times, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. And so essentially you'll get a version of that, but except the text will change, the background will change, like the textures will change, the colors will change, the lips will change, just all that stuff. And then that little character there, I think his name's Budjoy or something like that. So one of our guest artists, Luca the astronaut, he actually designed that for us, and then he'll be doing a launch with us as well. And so Luke is actually a partner in another project that I'm going to be working on at the end of the year as well. So we're going to be doing separate to Penthouse and separate to my personal stuff, but me and Luca are going to go partnership in another generated art project, which is going to be more towards his style of work, but we're going to work to that towards the end of the year as well, which is going to be big too.
Cool.
So I've got a lot of things coming up.
So these covers will have traits and rarity, and you'll be able to speculate on that. I think you suggested the little guy at the bottom left is like a rare one. Yeah. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. And if you get the rares, I'll personally make a custom artwork for you and send it out to you. We'll get you a signed magazine as well. And then down the line, when things start to evolve of like events and things like that, holding a rare would be like a free ticket to the event and so forth and so forth. So like,
I'm so scared to ask what happens at these live events. Hope my wife's not watching.
Yeah. So that it's going to be really big, especially because I think Penthouse is actually building a club in Sydney right now. I think they're building. Last time I spoke to them, I think they are. So that will be another thing as well. Is we'll have big industry events nights as well, and then like assuming this thing takes off the way I think it's going to, like you have a free ticket to come here. You know what I mean? Like we can fly you over, things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's going to be the extent of it. Once it just will depend. Like if I can pull all this together and I can really drive this to where I want it to go, I really think it's going to be one of the biggest names in the space just because of the value it's adding. Like it's not about making money. It's about, obviously that comes with success, but it's about launching careers, and it's about giving back to people, like to the community, and connecting artists with collectors. And that's really where my passion's going to lie with it.
So why does Penthouse want to do it? Because you sound obviously super passionate. You obviously get the NFT space, and you're well engulfed in it. Why do you think you convinced Penthouse to do this? Why do you think they want to do it?
Because they see the future, and because they're about art. They've always been about launching new artists. So essentially, what they do right now with the magazine is they'll find a photographer, they'll find an artist who has the talent but doesn't have the platform yet, and they'll throw them in the magazines already. So they're already doing it, but they're just doing it on a smaller scale. But they see the future of art, and they see the future of the blockchain, and they want to be there. They want to be there for the turning of the tide. Do you know what I mean? Like they're going to go all in on this. Like they truly, truly want this more than anything. And I think it's not so much like they're not after the money grab. They're after building something bigger. Do you know what I mean? So they want it to be a place where Penthouse is a name where it's essentially art house, because this art house is the derivative of Penthouse, which is like the art version of it, which is already in the magazine, where they show a lot of artists off and things like that. They want art house to be like a world brand in the blockchain, and to launch careers and to change lives, and to bring the mainstream artists who have been a famous artist for like 50 years in the real world, bring them to the blockchain. Like one of our covers after mine is actually one of the most famous sculptors in the world. He built the most expensive chessboard in the entire world. So he's going to do a cover and an NFT drop for us. So his chessboard is worth like $5 million or something. And the World Chess Series is being played on that board. And he's a good friend of the magazine. We featured him in the magazine many times because he does other types of sculptures as well. So I think the fourth cover or something like that is this gentleman who's been a worldwide, he's world famous artist his entire life. We're going to bring him over to the blockchain and just explain to him the future, and move him into the next step over, you know what I mean, for his art and his craft.
So are these generative covers like a mix of artists, or is it like one artist does one cover, one artist does another?
It'll be up to the artist, yeah. So essentially, so Ask Andy's his own type of artwork. I think he's just doing only a drop of about 30 NFTs or something like that. Mine is more of the generated art project to build the community around it. So why I wanted to mint about 3,333 of them is because that's what's going to build the community base. You can't build a community base of only 30 NFTs. You need holders. But I didn't want to do the whole 10K thing and just think like we're trying to steal people's money and all this stuff. I just needed it to be big enough so we have a tight community where I can get artists and get them to submit work for us. Because if you hold one of the NFTs and you're an artist, you can submit your work to the magazine as well for us to review and get in the magazine or get on the cover of the magazine. And I think that 3,000 number, that's a good base to build the community. And then once we have that, after that, the covers will be always different. It might be like you'll get like a physical sculptor, or it'll be something along those lines. But we're just going to get creative with it along the way.
Yeah. So with the 3,000, are you actually going to have different artist input, different things to those covers and whatnot, or is that completely done by you as the artist, or is it kind of a mix? And then if so, are those other artists going to be like trades, kind of like Party Degenerates did type of thing, or is it going to be?
Do you mean with this cover now? What?
Yeah, with the 3,000 that are coming out, like is that a mix of artists putting that together, or is that just you, or?
No, that's just me. So
okay.
Yeah, that was just me. I just designed it. Yeah. So it'll essentially just be a mix up of what you have now, and that's your ticket. It's like a raffle ticket type thing. So we're gonna have it so you hold one of these artworks, then that's your ticket to the Penthouse Club. Do you know what I mean? So
yep.
It'll just be a different change.
It'll be like the Genesis, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So Ask Andy will be the original Genesis technically, but the 3,333 will be the proper Genesis that builds the community up. And you'll just get a different version of that cover there, that Penthouse. It's going to be cheap. We're going to mint it cheap so everybody can have a go. I'm going to try and stealth drop it as well. So I'm not going to, obviously everybody's going to try and market it, but I'm going to offer it to the communities which are involved first. So I'll offer it to the Bored Apes because there's a Bored Ape on there. And I've spoke to one of the people that represent the Bored Apes already. So I'll offer it to them. I'll offer it to the Stoned Apes because they're on there, the Tokers. I'll offer it to the other communities I'm involved with. Like I'm very close with Pumpamati, the artist Pumpamati. I'll offer it to his community as well. Obviously, our own Discord for Penthouse will get the first dibs. Whoever wants to buy it can buy it. And then after that, whatever's left, then we'll really start to push it out. But I'm going to try. I really don't want it to be a gas war. I don't want people to be paying twice as much gas as the NFT cost. So my plan is that if you're in the community, you're in the Penthouse Discord, you're aware of what's happening, you're going to have first go. So if we have 3,000 people in there, 3,033 people in there by the time it launches, then those people are going to be able to get the NFT. Also, so you mentioned the Ask Andy holders will have a free whitelist as well. So the Ask Andy holders, if they hold that NFT, they'll get the first buy because they already own one of our NFTs. So they'll essentially get whitelisted. And then they'll be able to buy first, and then the rest of there'll only be like 30 of them anyway. And then the rest of the community, and then I'll move it out to the Bored Apes, the Stoned Apes, and all the rest of them. Because I feel like, especially with the Bored Apes, they're gonna want to snap it up really quick. Because anything that's got a Bored Ape on it, that's like a a worldwide public thing, because this is actually being printed. It's going to be printed and put worldwide. So that's massive publicity for the Bored Apes. Like, they've already got it, but it's just another tick on the box for them. Do you know what I mean? They're now on the.
These covers are going to be actual covers on magazines?
It's the actual magazine, yeah. So it'll be. So this is the real magazine.
Damn, that is sweet.
Yeah, so it's going to be the real Penthouse magazine, and it's going to be this on the cover, except it'll be plain. It's not going to have any of the features. It'll have yellow lipstick, a yellow background, the actual real Penthouse branding on the top. One of the random generated arts is actually the real Penthouse brand as well, so you can get that. So a version of it will be the actual, exactly the same as the cover that's going to be in real life. So it's going to be the real magazine, which will be sold worldwide, online and paper. I'm going to have a bunch of paper ones, which I'll be giving away signed. And I'm also going to, that's what I said, is if you get a rare, you're going to get the actual real magazine signed. Plus, I'm going to make you because I make a lot of real artwork for my own collection. So a lot of my own personal work, I have made into real artworks for my collectors because I'm still like an old school artist at the end. I love seeing my work in real life on someone's wall. There's nothing better than that. I don't care what anyone says. So I'll have these made up into big A2 frame things and sent to the rare guys, and they can have that forever. Same as the magazine. I'll send them a magazine as well. I've also spoke to the owner of Stoned Apes, Chris. He's a really good guy. I'll give him a signed magazine as well, just because he's been really helpful throughout the whole thing. And I know he would love to see his project on the cover of Penthouse Magazine. I will contact the Bored Apes owners, but they probably won't care because they're the Bored Apes, I guess, and they're the golden childs. But if those guys are interested in having the magazine as well, I'll give them a signed copy too, because their project's essentially it's going to be ingrained forever. It's on the paper now. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be it's pen to paper forever, available for people to buy in real life and online. So I feel like that's such a special thing in also integrating the mainstream and NFTs. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're helping people understand.
Yeah. So all of these NFTs that I'm looking at on the screen, like you have an ape there, and the tokers and stuff. Do you have permission to obviously use these, right?
I have the licensing for everything. Yes.
Well, the one is that Jessica Rabbit from Roger Rabbit.
Well, that's not the exact Jessica Rabbit. So that I actually purchased from those sites you can buy stock images and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's not actually the real Jessica Rabbit. Somebody actually just drew that. Yeah, so somebody drew that and then they sold it essentially.
Cool. And you said that you wanted to make it cheap. What is cheap? Have you decided on a price?
It'll be like hopefully maybe 0.05 for a mint, and I'm hoping that Ethereum's not too much then, so it's like maybe $200 or whatever it is, $150 or whatever it's going to be at the time. I'm hoping that that's the case, but it'll be 0.05 or 0.06 at the very most. It'll be no more than that. Otherwise, I've already told them like it's too much for people. People can't afford it. You know what I mean? Especially if everybody's got no liquidity, trying and sell for like some of these other prices like everybody else is doing. It's ridiculous. Like $1,000 for a mint or something is out of control.
So you mentioned your target demographic are like things like the Bored Apes. Are you also targeting your actual subscribers today to the magazine? And are they going to know about this happening? And do you want this to be like their first NFT?
That's right. So part of the plan is going to be to integrate to help people understand. We're going to have articles about NFTs, about selling NFTs, about how to mint NFTs. We're going to have articles from like the guys from Rarible. We're going to have articles explaining what it is, so to help bring the mainstream knowledge to people. Excuse me. Yeah. So that's a big plan as well, is to have like to teach people about it. So we're going to have like a section in the digital version that's going to have all this stuff in there, and we're going to have articles about all different artists all the time, about NFTs, about like what it is and how to do it and all that stuff. So that's a big plan for the magazine as well, is to onboard the subscribers already to this level to be able to have, because if you subscribe to these magazines, you're obviously a fan of the photographers and the models. So we're going to have it so like an issue coming forward, we'll get all the photographers and the models out of a specific shoot, and these people obviously have fans. You can talk to them live. within our Discord, in our live chat. You can ask the models questions about, or the photographers questions. That's going to be a big thing with connecting everything to, as well, is that we bring the fans to the artists.
Yeah, I mean, this is just such like NFTs, right? Like that's kind of what it's all about for these traditional companies. It's a whole new way to engage their existing consumers.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah, the sky's the limit, really. That's why Penthouse has kind of hired me to help them take charge of this, is because I've spent the last 6 months every single day. Like my day starts at like 3 o'clock in the morning because I edit before I go to work, and then I work all day, and then I come home, and then I edit until like 11 o'clock at night. And the entire time I'm in Spaces or Discord or whatever because of the time zones. That's just how it has to be. And I've done that every single day for 6 months while studying, or every single YouTube video I could watch, listening to people talk about stuff, to just really ingrain myself in the space. And I guess that's why they've kind of brought me on to help them, is because it's just become my life now. It's my passion more than anything. So I feel like if we can get more people on board like that as well, like especially mainstream artists who like are phenomenal painters or sculptors or whatever, like if we can bring them in and show them that you can take control of your work. This can be yours. So Penthouse will take nothing from our guest artists. We don't want a single dollar from any of them. So they mint however they want. They put it on whatever chain they want. They sell it for whatever they want. All we do is bring them in, teach them how to do it, and we make no money off that. The only money that Penthouse will make is off the cover NFTs, which will be the pillars of the company. And then everything else. So we're going to do like, within the first 2 months, we'll do like 10 or 11 guest artists or whatever. And if you think about it, Penthouse could have thrown their little cut on top and said, nah, we want like 10% or something. But the owners told me they don't want nothing. That it just like the magazine, they just want to help artists. So it'll just be purely the covers, the only thing that Penthouse makes profit from. And then by using these guest artists, we're going to drive the value to those cover NFTs.
are the covers safe for work, or is there nudity in the covers in the NFTs?
No, there'll be no. Everything has to be safe for work. Yeah.
Okay.
Like the camp. So there is some nude painting, I suppose, but nothing like properly vulgar. It's kind of like what mine is. You know what I mean? It's like a fun, still sexy, still in line with the brand, but just like a cover like that. But it's not going to be proper nude photography. No, it hasn't been like that in years. Every single Penthouse cover in Australia for like the last 5 or 6 years has been just art.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, there is nudity in there, but the nudity in there is like, you know what? I don't know if you guys are too familiar with, but I'm heavily in like the photography space as well. All the photographers I look up to, they all shoot for Penthouse, and the stuff you see on Instagram, it's just exactly the same, except the nipple's not blurred out. That's basically it. It's not porn. It's just tasteful, fine art photography. But just because the woman's naked, that doesn't make it sexual.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's another thing that we're going to try and bring down the borders of, like, a naked person, man or woman. That's not sexual at all. The context of it is what's sexual. The context.
Do you have any concerns around how people will receive this? Like, it's just something that happens, right? Like we talk about Penthouse, and not everybody is gonna agree with the concept. Period. Right. And I'm curious, how has it been received sort of so far in your circles, and any concerns around that?
Phenomenal. Every single artist I have spoken to, and this has given me the platform to be able to speak to some of the most famous artists I couldn't even imagine talking to so far. So, for example, I picked up and onboarded a woman that I've looked up to for many, many, many years, who's a very, very famous photographer from New York. She's just scored a cover deal with Penthouse now. So it's given me the opportunity to just connect with these people that are way out of my reach before now. Like, this woman has been a famous photographer for like 20 years. She's one of the most famous photographers on the planet. And now I connected with her just through a friend of a friend of a friend. And then she only listened to me because I represent Penthouse. And then now she's going to be on a cover coming down the line next year, which is phenomenal. But other than that, every artist, every person I've spoken to about it, especially small artists, are just over the moon that somebody's actually going to give them a chance now. Because these big guys, like, I don't have hate for any other project or whatever, but they don't really care about, like, the small guy at all. But this is essentially a big brand led by a small guy. I'm the small guy, which is leading the big brand in, which is what's going to change the game behind it. Do you know what I mean? But other than that, nobody said a bad word about it. They said it's phenomenal. Everybody I've spoken to, big NFT influencers in the space, people that understand this space really, really well. And they said what you're doing, if you can pull it together, is going to change the game completely, especially for small artists.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, I didn't know that last week, that I'd be meeting, the leading artist on Penthouse Magazine either. So there you go.
It's just weird how things fall
It's
apart.
crazy how many people you meet.
Yeah, like I haven't stopped grinding every single day, and it's just real things just fell into place just out of nowhere, just from everything, from everybody that I've been meeting, and just the artists that I've met now, and just like everything. It's just crazy.
Nice. Well, when drop? Do you know?
So it's going to be December. It's going to be about December. So I had a meeting with one of the Rarible top guys from Rarible on Monday, and we discussed what's happening. Their software is going to be ready to go within a week or two. I'm probably the first person that's actually publicly said it. To be honest with you, I don't even think they've mentioned it, so I'll probably get in trouble for that. But I think they're going to drop their software within the next week or two, and then our drop for Ask Andy will help, which is just a smaller drop, will probably be next week or two. I'm hoping as soon as we can get this Twitter stuff back online and ready to go. And then December, I'm going to shoot for December. It should be about mid-December, which is the Australian summer. And then I'm going to go full steam ahead, especially once I've got even just a small base of just, even if I've got like 1,000 people in the Discord and like 1,000 people on Twitter, that's enough. Do you know what I mean? Like it'll be word of mouth from there.
Yeah, and with 3,333 tokens, and with the prices you're saying as well, you don't have to build an insane community if you have a good product, obviously, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And I just didn't want it to be some over flooded, just like too much supply, and you know what I mean. I want it to really be worth something for people. That's a big thing for me. Is that I've myself have spent thousands of dollars on NFTs that just get left behind because the artist is famous. He's a DJ or an artist or whatever it is. And you buy it because you jump in and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I fucking love this guy for years. And then they just move on to the next thing, and they move on to the next thing, and they move on to the next thing. And now I'm stuck holding like a $10,000 NFT I paid for, which I couldn't even sell for $2 because they just don't care. You know what I mean? It's the opposite of that. I want it to be something that just holds value forever. So if you hold one of these NFTs, we're always going to bring it something back for you to be able to get from it. It's never going to be. Sorry.
So after the covers, is the plan to do it is it going to be quarterly, monthly? How are you going to kind of go through that? And then with that cover, are you going to get? Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. Continue. Sorry.
So then with the cover, are you going to get like the whole issue digitally or anything like that, or?
The whole issue, what? Sorry, pardon?
Like digitally.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be available digitally, yeah. So what we might even do is we'll work it out, and we might even offer, like, everybody who holds one can have a digital copy as well, like of the magazine. And then, but every quarter, there's going to be 4 covers a year, and then in between those covers, there's going to be guest artists, just bam, 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 surprise guest artists, just everything. We're just going to be flooding so after we sell an NFT cover, we're going to be flooding the holders with value, and then there'll be the next cover, and then there'll be the next cover. But then in between, we'll also do surprise Penthouse ones. So like we've done a lot of covers already with famous artists like Milk for Your Coconut and Slime Sunday and all these guys. These guys have all done Penthouse covers. So we'll contact them and work with them. Say, hey, what do you guys think about doing a surprise drop or something like that? Do you know what I mean? Down the line, just all those things will randomly happen as well, which will be Penthouse driven. Or we'll do like if we've got a big photographer, which is in the magazine, we'll say, look, do you want to do a random NFT drop for us and things like that. Like as we're going along, we'll just play it as it comes. But the 4 covers are definitely locked in, and then from there, it's just going to be as much value as we can really pump into the community.
Nice.
Also,
cool.
I'd like to say as well is that as soon as we sell the cover out, I'm going to spend about 10 or 20 ETH of my own money buying the artists that submit their work. So if I've already worked out with one of another top influencer that will go like maybe 5 ETH each or something. I'll pay for it all, but he can choose like 5 ETH worth, and then will go through all the artist submissions, and I'll personally buy the NFTs myself, and I'll put them in a little community wallet. And then that'll be my thing, putting my money where my mouth is and prove to them that I'm here to help these guys. So I'll, from the first round, after we sell out the 3,033, I'll give everybody a month to submit their work in. And then I'll spend like 10 ETH. If it's good, I'll spend more, but I'm going to spend the minimum of 10 ETH of all these guys' artworks that have just submitted all their work. And then just to show that I'm not here to just bullshit. I'm here to put my own personal money, not Penthouse's money, my own money, to buy these guys' work and help them along the way. If it's good, I'll spend more, but I'll guarantee 10 just in case. But if the work's amazing and I can see the quality's there, I'll fucking buy 20 ETH worth.
Nice.
Sorry for swearing.
No, it's all good. So in terms of how people can stay in touch with you, you mentioned you've got a Discord. I saw it linked in your, I'm pretty sure I saw it linked in your bio. So I will definitely put it in the description for everybody.
Yeah, put my Twitter handle in as well. If you just follow my Twitter handle, and then you can DM me anytime, and then I can answer all the questions. The Penthouse Twitter will be up and running, I promise, as soon as I can get it up and running again. The Penthouse Discord's kind of died off a bit, because I feel like when the Twitter got shut down, everybody got a bit scared. They're like, it's a rug pull or something. I don't know.
Yep.
So I think the Discord has slowed down a lot. So which I think I knew that was gonna happen. Like as soon as the Twitter's gone, everybody's gonna be like, they were bullshitting the whole time. But that's not the case, I promise. It's just we just had some licensing issues with crossing the T's and dotting the I's. That's all. But as soon as that's back up and running, you can just follow my personal Twitter, and then I'm going to be pushing it from there.
Okay. And yeah, hey, look, that's the difference of you coming into the space with a global brand than 3 Anon guys creating a 10K PFP project. They don't deal with these issues.
That's exactly right. I'll let everybody know as well, is that me and, like what I mentioned before, is that me and Luca are actually going to be working on another even bigger project, which will be more like a 10K thing, but we're gonna develop like a whole world around it. Like he's got this world called Exedia, which we're gonna have all these little, like imagine Guardians of the Galaxy, but just our own version of it. So we're gonna be launching that project like probably next year. We're just developing and like connecting with all the different people in the space so far, and then but we're making moves on that on the background as well, because I know a lot of people know that I'm involved in that as well, and they know that me and Luca are really good friends. And so that's going to be definitely coming, but we're just gonna keep building the characters out, and then we're gonna build an actual like a cartoon out of it, essentially. Because if you have a look at that work, it's very, very animate worth, I guess. It almost looks like an anime as well. So that's going to be coming next year as well, but that'll be a bit for a couple of weeks away still.
Awesome. Conwell, thank you much for being here. Benjamin, any final questions?
No, man, I appreciate you coming through. The project definitely sounds good. I like that you kept it at the low number of 3,333, because even on a secondary base, that kind of makes it even more lucrative at that point. So definitely appreciate you coming through and dropping some knowledge on us.
No worries at all, guys. I appreciate the time.
And you did drop a big bomb about Rareable's innovation coming up. We didn't know about.
No.
So interesting to see what happens there.
I was supposed to say it, to be honest, but I couldn't have explained how I was going to do it without it.
Yeah.
Like how else was I going to explain it really? But yeah, that'll be launching next week or the week after anyway. So hopefully I didn't ruin it for him. But that is a bit of alpha for you guys. But there's no other way for me to explain it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when I often talk to people in NFTs, there's like different corners of the NFT world. And, Ben and I, we're kind of like degenerates in the 10K PFP world and mint, whatever the hell we can get our hands on. And then I know, you're on the side that's more about the true art and smaller mint counts. So there's normally less of a community. And of course there's music and, gaming, and there's like a whole bunch of corners of the world. But I see you as like, you're trying to bridge the gap between the stuff that Ben and I are in and creating an actual meaningful community that's large enough so you can provide some, great utility in real life utility. And you're still kind of very focused on making sure that you're delivering good art, right? Did we lose Conwell? Did we lose him?
Yeah, I'm not hearing them.
Okay.
Yeah, have you got me?
There we go.
Oh, yeah,
You're
I got
back.
'em now. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so essentially the way I look at it is that like it's a project by artists for the community. That's the way I want to put it. So artists will always be driving this, and Penthouse is just backing it. So that's what it is. I wanted to link everything together, from the real world to the blockchain, with a taste of that PFP stuff, but just not the saturation of it, because I
Right.
feel like that's where things get lost.
Nice. I like it.
Mm.
It's definitely different. This is very different than
Mm.
anything I've looked at before.
And that's what's important, is being different. That's
Yeah.
that's what you do as an artist. You know what I mean? You want to push the limits and be different than everyone else.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Conwell. Well, man, we'll keep in touch. I appreciate you coming by and teaching our audience, a side of art and everything you're doing that we're not necessarily all accustomed to. And wish you all the best in the drop, and we'll definitely be watching, and we'll be joining the Discord as well.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the time.
Thank you as well. Yep.
All right. Have a
Thanks,
good
guys.
day.
Guys. Enjoy your
Take
night.
care, everybody. Checking out.
You too.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.